I was given 1,000 stories with 1,000 explanations of when God has been in my life. I was a career habitual criminal. But today's story, man, it comes from an unlikely source and how God uses certain people in your life to, I don't know, give you the confirmation and let you know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing out there. Stay tuned. So I've explained when I was in Colorado custody in the prison system, man, they had me on Thorazine. And most of the people, if you ever been locked up, bro, you're gonna know who's, a psych case. You're gonna know it's kind of like certain things about that person because it happens over and over and over and over. And they're just gonna know. You know what I mean? We can go over my routine and where I spent the most time in Colorado prison. Man, my routine honestly would be, you know, child gets called, I don't know, 5 something in the morning, so I'm waking up at 4:30 watching my Christian show as I, pray, meditate, and stretch. Mind it, so the people who are getting up around the same time, they see that your light, the TV light is on, and I'm, pushing it to the side so it don't bother nobody. But everybody saw that I was, praying, meditate, stretching, because, especially everybody knew in the dorm I was a psych patient because I was on that Thorazine. But regardless, they would see me pray and meditate. A lot of people didn't. Actually, nobody really gave me problems because I would wake up before you go to chow, and I would do that, and everybody encouraged me because, bro, he's a psych patient for a reason, you know what I mean? They give him all these medications for a reason, so no one ever gave me, whatever. But they also saw that I was on, how can I say, gladiator freaking, like I would work out 3-4 times a day, and you knew it. And people used to literally like talk to me. I didn't even really know who a lot of these people were, but there was just certain one dude, man. He was a shot caller for the black gang, and he used to always tell me something like, "Yo, man, you always like you awake when you out there working out," and he would like encourage me. But I never really talked to him, never really did none. But he would always say something to me, and I ain't understand it then. I didn't even know he knew anything about me. But later on, that same dude that used to encourage me, man, stuck up for me later on in this program. So let me explain something to you. This dude that used to encourage me, I didn't even know nothing about him until later on. He ended up becoming a roommate in the OTC part, like where you're allowed to go to work, where you're allowed to go, but you got to come back. And at the time, he was selling certain things and going through the program. He knew my background. He knew things about me because you had to speak about it. In order for you to overcome certain things in your life, you got to speak about it and be honest about it and see how it is you can change the mindset or change the actions that you did. So me becoming his roommate, it was convict code, don't say nothing. So I didn't say nothing. He does what he does, and I was like, I'm Bennett, and I ain't in it. My other roommate was a meth dealer, and I'm Bennett and I ain't in it. I don't really care what y'all be doing, but I'm here for me. But later on, man, I was locked up for quite a number of years in Colorado custody, and when I came to this program and we were finally allowed to, how can I say, program with females, I found myself in trouble, man. And let's not get it twisted, man. You allowed to be in this certain house, and we would hang out and we would talk, and I was locked up, and she was one of the finest females on the block. So everybody was like, damn, bro, it's like that. Well, anyways, let me fast forward all that, man. So I'm going to school, I'm working, but yeah, I get these feelings and emotions for this female, and I end up getting in trouble, man. And they put me on Monad, which is like you can't go to work, you can't go to school, you can't do none, but, because it was long hours, they would have you sit up, face the wall, or sit down and face the wall so you can think about your actions or what you're going to say or what you're going to do, when they come for you. But anyways, so I ended up having all these games, man. And so this is where counselors come in, and peer support comes in, and they start talking to you about this, they start talking to you about that. But they would have a game, meaning like they asking me all these questions. They're trying to, I don't know, They're trying to get me riled up, and I ain't getting riled up. They want me to admit to some things, and I ain't admitting to not a dang thing. I admitted to being on the property, checking out the female, like we was talking, we did it in front of counselors, so we weren't trying to hide not a dang thing because we owned the block. But finally, man, after days and days and days of this, so the female ended up saying the exact same thing I did. We did it right here. We ain't say nothing. We ain't do nothing. So I can't say we didn't get in trouble, but it came to the point where the supervisor of all the counselors come in and they said that they're going to send me back to prison because I'm keeping that convict code, because I don't want to tell the truth, because I don't want to like I'm not getting hyped up. I ain't finna say nothing, and I'm just like, bro, you do what you got to do. But I keep my mouth shut. But when this head counselor tells me we're sending you back to prison because you want to keep that convict code, which that's that OG status straight up, that I'm all up in here with them stars and stripes. But check it. This counselor says, okay, we're sending you back to prison because you want to keep that convict code. So he was on his way out. Remember that dude that used to encourage me in prison, the black shot caller? Well, there's this thing called mother loving. You ain't supposed to stick up for nobody. You ain't supposed to do that, or you gonna get in trouble because, it's called mother loving. But this dude that I really didn't know, but he peeped game of me being in prison and being on Thorazine and, like me becoming a freaking gladiator, like coming up red strong. He done went through the program with me for like 2 years, and he heard every dang story and everything that I worked for. So when this counselor said you are non-support to the program, meaning I'm keeping that convict code, this dude jumped up out of his chair, which automatically you're not supposed to get out of your chair because I chose, aggressive movement. But he jumps out of his chair and he says, non-support to the program? That's the best non-support to the program that I have ever seen. And I'm looking at the dude like, what the heck? And he starts sticking up for me. This dude was on Thorazine. This dude did this dude that. If you know anything about his background, that man has changed. And I'm just like, ooh, I'm getting goosebumps. But he peeped game. I didn't know other people was watching, with me becoming a different person. But not only that, after he said what he said, a second person stood up for me. He said, yes, we know. It's like, we've heard him talk. We've seen him in prison. And then another person. Then another person. So these people that stuck up for me, man, literally kept me from going to prison. This is one of those 1,000 stories with 1,000 explanations where God was in my life, but I put in that work like I did back in the day, just in a better way, and people stuck up for me. And I always was like, damn, I can't even believe that happened, because other people have seen me change. They know what I had to go through. They know I fought to get off this Thorazine. They know I became a mini counselor. They know that I'm fit. I look like a dang gladiator. But actions speak louder than words, and this is one proud moment. Like, thank you, Lord. Thank you for that dude sticking up for me, because I ain't know him like that. But he did it because it was the right thing to do. Y'all stay up. Y'all stay blessed. I hope this is motivation for y'all, man. Put in that work like I did back in the day, just in a better way.